So my name is Maxine. I am the office manager here at Signalong, and to celebrate our 30th birthday we have decided to put on some free basic Signalong workshops for you across our social media. They are brief, they are basic, but they will give you the skills and the methodology to be able to carry on learning how to sign once you've ended today. You will also learn 12 new signs, potentially new to you, potentially might be old ones, but at least the correct way to perform them. So let me just check. Thanks everybody. Okay, so first off, I'm going to break down the methodology of how to perform our signs. These are the key skills that you need, and once you have learnt these, you can perform any of our signs completely unaided. That's the plan, that's the idea, it's why they are consistently broken down in the description the way that they are. And hopefully once we've learned all of these, you will see the descriptions and hear them and completely understand what I'm saying. If you joined us yesterday on Instagram, you'll know that we will do this for the start of all of our videos, just because if we get new people joining us, it's really handy skills to know, and why not embed them? They are the key skills to unlocking all of our signs. So stick with me and we will go through it. I do have my handy little manual up here as well, so I do apologise if I keep looking that way, but for most of the time I will be performing my signs here with you. Before we get started, you need to work out what is your working hand and your supporting hand. Our signs are set out in this way to keep consistency, and we ask that you, once you have figured out which is your working hand and your supporting hand, you keep that consistency when you are performing your signs going forward. It's to prevent any confusion, and some of our signs look quite similar but they're performed in different ways, so we need to make sure that we are getting the correct sign every time. So we say that your working hand should be, and is most likely to be, your most dominant hand. For me, I am right-handed. It's the hand I write with, it's the hand I reach for things first with. This will be my working hand. Therefore, my supporting hand will be my left hand. Most of our signs and our images are described using a right hand as your working hand and a left hand as your supporting hand, but it doesn't matter. If yours is the other way around, that's fine. You just adapt it for yourself and use your left hand as your working hand and your right hand as your supporting hand, and perform the sign in exactly the same way. We will no longer, things are falling, sorry. We will no longer refer to our hands as left and right. They will be a working hand and a supporting hand, and remember to get yours the right way round for yourself. We have what is called something known as hop to move, and our methodology is broken down using that acronym, in that we have our hand shape, our orientation, our placement, and then that sign potentially can move. Quite fitting with Easter coming up as well. But first I'm going to go through the placement. This is where your signs take place. So we have what is known as a signing window. It takes place from just above your head, out to the sides past your shoulders, and down to your waist. This is because some of our signs can be performed at the top of our signing window, like the sign for sun. Some can be performed at the edges of our signing window, like the sign for big. And some can be performed at the bottom of our signing window, as in trousers. So bear that in mind. Keep it just above your head, just past your shoulders, and down to your waist. I appreciate that the comments might be in the way. If you would like to sweep them across, you can literally just swipe, I think it's to the right, and all the comments will disappear so you can see my full signing window. But do let me know in the comments if you've got any problems with that, and I'll adjust my setup for you. So that's our signing window. Remember to be consistent with your working hand and your supporting hand, and keep your signs visible in your signing window. If you are signing and you're sat down, most of the time you're probably going to need to stand up so that you can get the bottom of your signing window correct. What you don't want to be doing is putting your trousers on up here. Unless you're Simon Cowell, of course. So, over page, going to teach you our hand shapes. The reason we teach you the hand shapes is so that you can form your signs correctly and get the correct sign. As I said previously, you might see that some of our signs are very similar in the way that they're performed, but it might just be a different hand shape that changes that sign and that meaning completely. So we ask that you learn these and get to learn them and embed them first before you head off and signing where possible. So I'll run through them for you. We have our 16 basic hand shapes, and they are a flat hand. We say that there are no kinks, no curves, and you shouldn't see any gaps between any of my fingers and my thumb. So a nice, firm, flat hand. From there, you can open this all up and stretch it as far as you possibly can that's comfortable, and this is then an open hand. So, open hand. Then we have our clawed hand, and you simply take your fingers and you just claw them in like you're going to scratch. A clawed hand, and you can see it probably better there. Then we have our bent hand, so you take a flat hand again and you just bring those fingers down to a right angle, and that is your bent hand. From there, you can turn this upside down. Imagine you've got a little puddle of water here in your hand and you can't let any of it escape. This is a cupped hand. So it's a nice cupped hand. Again, just imagine you've got that pool of water in there. It's the best way you can get that best shape. We then have our bunched hand. So from an open hand, you can bring all of those fingers in to meet with your thumb tip. And you can see it there. This is a bunched hand. A closed hand comes from a flat hand, and you just bring those fingers down and hold it here. The difference between a closed hand and a fist, which I will show you in a minute, is that a closed hand, we can see all of your fingernails and your thumb is out to the side. So all in contact with each other, but we need to see those fingernails. A fist is when you tuck those fingernails away and you hold them down just as you would to make a normal fist with your thumb. So know the difference. A closed hand is your fingernails on show, and a fist is tucked all away. We then have a C hand, so you take your index finger and your thumb and make the shape of a C. Don't worry too much that it might not be a C to you when you are performing this. It's absolutely fine, it doesn't matter, it's still a C hand. From there, you will do a full C hand and bring all of your other fingers in line with your index to create a nice big C shape. This is your full C hand. We then have an O hand, so you bring your index finger and your thumb together to make an O and extend your other fingers. So keep that nice circle shape in there. That's an O hand. A full O hand brings these three remaining fingers in line with your index hand, but they do not make contact with your thumb. So again, keep that nice round shape here. This is a full O hand. Then we'll have an M hand. So you take your index, middle and third fingers and extend them and tuck your little finger away with your thumb. Keep it all together, an M hand. Like to think of this as it makes the letter shape M, just if you get confused. An N hand simply tucks away that third ring finger, leaving your middle and your index finger extended, an N hand. We then have an R hand. So you take your index finger and hook it over slightly, tuck everything away. This is your R hand. I'll just turn my hand around so you can sort of see it's just a hook, but my thumb is tucked away. So just a little arc in your index finger for a hook hand. R hand, sorry. Then we have our V hand. You take your index finger and your middle finger and you just extend them and spread them apart for a V hand. Quite simply, it just makes a nice letter shaped V. So a V hand. We then have additional hand shapes. We have 10 of those, and I will apologise. My fingers and thumbs do not work the way that they should, but bear with me, you should be able to follow along and get the gist. We have a Y hand. So from a closed hand, extend your little finger and your thumb to sort of make the shape of a Y. This is your Y hand. Sometimes mine like to go a bit wonky, but doesn't matter, you can get it. A Y hand. Then we have our index hand, simply just our index finger extended and everything else tucked away. Index. It can look just as this. We then have our thumb hand, which is simply just our thumb extended, a thumb hand. My thumb points off backwards, but can't straighten that, so yep, thumb hand. We then have a little finger hand, exactly as it says on the tin. You just extend your little finger and tuck everything else away. A little finger hand. Slightly more complicated now, an open pinched hand. So you take your index finger and your thumb and you put them parallel together, and this is your open pinched hand. So imagine that you're pinching, just an open pinched hand. Then we have a closed pinched hand, which is simply the same but closed. A closed pinched hand. They usually go hand in hand together. We then have our parallel bent hand. So you take your bent hand and bring your thumb to be in parallel. A parallel bent hand. That's all your fingers and your thumbs parallel to each other. From then, just extend your fingers up slightly, and this will be your parallel flat hand. You can also come from a flat hand and just bring that thumb out slightly. A parallel flat hand. We then have an L hand, simply our index finger and our thumb extended, an L hand. This can be this way round, it can be this way. It's absolutely fine. We'll get to how the orientation changes, but an L hand. Lastly, we have a tucked hand. You will take your thumb and hook your index finger over your thumb to perform a tucked hand. And I will come in and I'll show you. So it's just your thumb, wrap your index finger around it, and there you have your tucked hand. So they are all of our hand shapes. You will see those through our descriptions in our signs as you go through, and I will read the descriptions out when I'm performing the signs for you in a little while, and hopefully you'll be able to see that there are hand shapes in every single sign that we have. So they are important. We are saving these videos, as we've said, and on Fridays we will re-upload them. These will be at the start of all of our videos. So if you ever get confused and ever want to practice again in your own time, just go right back to the beginning of the videos and it'll all be there for you. Hope everybody's following along still. Next up we have orientation. And this is a combination of palms facing and hands pointing. And this is where your hands are, how your hands are held, sorry. So this is another key skill that you must remember and learn to unlock and perform our signs correctly. So palms facing, when we talk about this, we talk about literally just the palm of our hand and where that is facing. This can face in 6 directions. So in, out, up, down, forwards and backwards, and I will show you some examples of those as we go through now. So palms in, so you simply palms in, they are in towards the middle of my signing window, if you remember that frame that we have round us. So palms in, this will be the sign for big. So palms facing in. We have palms facing out, so regardless of the rest of my hand, my palm, to the best of my ability, is facing out towards the edge of my signing window. So like in the sign for ill. So that's out, the sign for ill. Then we have palms up. Quite simply, our palms are facing up to the top of our signing window, like in the sign for today. I completely lost train of thought then. So our palms are facing up, so sign for today. Then we have palms down. So again, simply our palm, turn my hands over, pointing down to the floor, like in the sign for chair. So that's them facing down. Our palm forward, it's facing ahead of myself as the signer and forward towards the person or whoever you're signing to, like in the sign for stop. And then you have palms back, as in the sign for love. And they are facing backwards towards myself. There for you. We then talk about hands pointing. They move in the same 6 directions, but it was from your wrist to your knuckles. We don't talk about where our fingers are. You just need to ignore all of this. And when they are pointing, our hands pointing, it's just from here to here and then in that direction. And I'll show you. So they move in the same 6 directions: in, out, up, down, backwards and forwards. So our hands pointing in, you can see there from here to here is pointing in towards my signing window. This will be the sign for sit. Out. So again, my wrist to my knuckles is pointing out towards the edge of my signing window, like the sign for person. We then have pointing up. So we take our bent hand, point it up. So from here to here is pointing up to the sky, like the sign for building. Then we have pointing down. So you see from here to here is pointing down towards the floor, simply in the sign for down. Nice and simple, that one. Then we have pointing forward. So you see from here to here is pointing towards yourselves and pointing forward like the sign for book. And then we have pointing back towards myself. So again, from here to here is pointing towards me, the signer. This is the sign for me. So me. Then we have diagonals. This will be denoted by a slash in our signs, and that simply just means that the sign is performed on a diagonal, so like the sign for boat. So both of our hands are here, but they are diagonally facing, and boat. So just bear that in mind. That's the one that most people get tripped up on, I will be honest. And it's fine. Like we said, we've done our hand shapes, we've done our orientation, we have gone over our placement. Now our signs can move. So we'll look at some of the ways that they can move. Same 6 directions: in, out, up, down, forward and backwards. It's usually nice and simple and easy to remember. So the movement in can literally come from the outside of the signing window and in towards the middle. So this is in. It can move out. So out towards the edges, if you kept on going. It can move up. They can move down. They can move forward. So forward, away from yourself. And they can move back as well. So come back towards you. Also then have circling, and some of our signs will circle. They circle in and out, but they can be horizontal or vertical, forwards and back. So we have a saying that it's in for a hug and out for the clout. It's a really good thing to try and remember. So we say if a sign comes in, it's like you're going to give somebody a nice big hug. It doesn't matter if that's in this way or in this way, it would be the same direction. And then I'm sure you can guess it, out for the clout means if you're circling outwards, you're likely to hit someone or something that's near you and clout it. So just remember that. When we say forwards and backwards, it's the same thing. And if you're ever confused, you can change the orientation and perform the sign and you'll see whether it's in or out. But I'll go through that now with you. So circling in on a vertical would look like this, like the sign for park. So it comes out and comes back into the middle of the signing window. To circle out would look like this, as in the sign for where. Circling in vertical would look like this. It's in the sign for school. Circling out would look like this, as in the sign for sun. Forward would look like this, the sign for train. I'll turn sideways so you can see, train. And circling back would look like this, just the sign for wait. We've already gone through one of these, but the formation can then move. And this is where the hand shapes might be two completely different shapes, but they will move together as one. So for instance, the sign for boat. Whilst these look the same, they will be denoted as different because of the fact that they're on a diagonal. So the sign for boat, the whole thing moves together as one. And the sign for horse, so to ride a horse. So you've got a V hand and an N hand, but the whole thing moves together as one. More things to confuse you with because we like that. So then we have our movement symbols. I'm going to hold this up to the screen just because I think this is probably the easiest way I can describe it for you. So we have a straight arrow, which is a continuous movement of our sign. The hand moving backwards and forwards. A broken movement in our sign. So this is like a start, stop, start, stop. Movement in one direction and then in another. We then have a repeated movement, so the exact same movement just repeats itself. This one for our hands moving apart, like in the sign for cat. So they start together here and then they will split apart like this. Then we have this one, which is a sign that ends with emphasis. So this is where you really want to short, sharp movements. We have these two lovely ones, which are the hands or fingers open and then close again. So if you imagine the one I always like to use is bubbles. So bubbles, because it starts closed, it opens, it closes, opens and closes. Bubbles. Then we have this one, which starts open and then closes. The opposite of that will start closed and then open and go in different directions. A contact point. So this is where you actually make contact, and not all of our signs have this. So bear that in mind and pay attention to that when you see our images, because it will say to maintain contact or keep contact. And then we have this one, which is our quivering hand. It just shakes ever so slightly. So now that we have gone through all of those, today I am going to show you the signs on our daily routines poster. So the first one that we have is to get dressed. So you take your open hands, palms back, pointing in. They're going to move alternately up and down in front of your body. So get dressed. And again, get dressed. Next we are going to brush our teeth. So we're going to take our working index hand, palm down, pointing in, mine brushing our teeth. So brush teeth. And again, working index hand, palm down, pointing in, mine was brushing teeth, brush teeth. Next up, some of our signs that you will see are more gestural than they are signs. So for example, like in bath. So here we are going to just mime bathing. For example, just rubbing our arms for bath. Could be bath, but bath. If you don't fancy a bath, you might want to take a shower instead. So for shower, you're going to take your working full O hand, hold above your head, and it's going to spring open twice. So shower. And again, shower. Kind of looks like what happens in the shower, doesn't it? Next up we have breakfast. So we're going to take our working flat hand, palm back, pointing in and up, so on a diagonal. It's going to tap across chest from supporting side to our working side. Then our working bunched hand, palm back, pointing up, taps twice at side of mouth, like this. So all together, breakfast. And again, working flat hand, palm back, pointing in and up, taps across chest from supporting side to working side, then working bunched hand, palm back, pointing up, taps twice at side of mouth, breakfast. 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 Then we will have lunch. So our working flat hand, palm in and back, pointing forward and in. It's going to bounce off the tip of our middle finger of supporting open hand, palm in and back, pointing up like this. And then our working bunched hand, palm back, pointing up, taps twice at side of mouth. So, lunch. And again, lunch. After you've had your breakfast and your lunch, eventually you'll come to have your dinner. So you're going to take your N hands, palms back, pointing in, and move alternately towards your mouth. Dinner. Again, dinner. Next we have the sign for bed, and you will notice in Signalong, compared to other signing systems, is that we operate on a one concept per sign, one sign per concept method. That means that the sign for bed and the sign for sleep will be different, because you don't always go to bed to go to sleep, nor do you only go to sleep in your bed. So worth noting for signs, things like time and watch, doll and baby will also be different. So for bed, we are going to take our flat hands, palms together, and you're going to support our head, and your working hand should be the one that is free to continue signing. So try and have this one on the bottom if you can. If you're left-handed, it would look more this way, and your left hand would be free to sign. For me, right-handed on my working hand. So bed. No movement, no nothing, just bed. So your flat hand, palms together, support your head, bed. Next we have shoes. We're going to take our working flat hand, palm down, pointing forward, above supporting flat hand, palm down, pointing in. It's going to move along to supporting fingertips and twist to palm up below the supporting hand. So, shoes. And again, shoes. When you're beginning your journey with Signalong and you're more at a 1 to 2 word level, we suggest that you use the sign for shoes to mean any kind of footwear. So that can be trainers, boots, sandals, shoes, anything. As you progress and you expand your vocabulary together, you will learn the signs for those individual items. But right in the very beginning, just accept that shoes means footwear. And if you say to somebody, go and grab your shoes, and they bring you anything that they can put on their feet, that's fine. You're communicating. You have spoken and they have understood exactly what you meant. So we'll take it. So again, working flat hand, palm down pointing forward, above supporting flat hand, palm down pointing in, move along to supporting fingertips and twist the palm up below supporting hand. Shoes. And one more time. Shoes. Next we have toilet. We do have different variations of the sign for toilet, although the description will be the same, but it's just the difference in how you perform them. We say to use the one that is most appropriate to your setting. One of them can be misconstrued as slightly rude if you've got a certain age of audience, but yes, we use the one that's most appropriate to you. So the one I'm going to teach you today is probably more universally used, and that's fine. So you're going to take your extended middle finger of your working open hand. So we're going to extend it in like this. Palm back, pointing in and up. So again on that diagonal, it's going to brush supporting side of upper chest. So, toilet. I'll turn to the side so you can sort of see that. Toilet. So again, extended middle finger of working open hand, palm back, pointing in and up, brushes supporting side of upper chest, toilet. Next, like for bath, we have wash our hands, and this is another mime, and you're just going to mime washing your hands. However that may be. Make sure you're getting all those nooks and crannies. But wash your hands. For things like washing your hair, you can just use your clawed hands. But for washing your hands, just rub those hands together and mime that action of washing your hands. It's a really nice, easy one, that. And then lastly, from our daily routine poster, we're going to have medicine. So the sign for medicine, we'll take our supporting full C hand, palm in, pointing forward in front of the body. Then our working little finger hand, palm back, pointing down. It's going to mime stirring inside supporting C. And I'll turn to the side so you can see my hand isn't closed, like this. And this is the sign for medicine. So again, medicine. So supporting full C hand, palm in, pointing forward in front of body, working little finger hand, palm back, pointing down, mime stirring inside supporting C. Medicine. And again, medicine. That you've enjoyed this session today. We are having videos next week that we will be posting up. They won't be live, unfortunately, due to staff absences next week and holidays and things. But the following week, we will be back to being live again. And as I said, every Friday, all of the videos from that week will be reposted so that you can watch them whenever you fancy it. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me today. I've loved being able to do our first live together, and I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you're not following us on the other social media pages, do come across. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the usual, and YouTube and everything as well. So yeah, please come back and give us a little follow. And equally, if you've got any suggestions of things that you would like to see more of, and I can see people asking to sing us, to sign a song. Unfortunately, my voice is not the best, but previously on our page, you will see we have got some nursery rhymes. We are limited with some songs that we're allowed to perform because of copyright issues, because as a charity, we don't want to get into copyright troubles with anybody. So we will sing our own songs and we will sing nursery rhymes that are copyright free and things like that. So if you've got any that you want us to perform, please let me know and I'll be happy to give it a go. But I will warn you to buy some earplugs first. So yeah, anything that you want to know or that you want to see more from us on TikTok, please do give me your suggestions. And yeah, I really appreciate you all being here today because it's our first ever live TikTok, and thank you for everybody for sharing it so that we could get to be live too. So join us back here, as I said, next week for some posted videos. They won't be live, but we will still have a video every single day. And then the following week, join us back on Thursday so that we can be live again and yeah, and learn some more. Each day is a different set of signs as well. So it's worth coming back every day to see, but worth coming back every Friday at least, or joining the lives on the other days on the other platforms so that you can learn as many possible signs for free to celebrate our 30th birthday. So thank you very much, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.